Will there be an unconditional basic income in the next 20 to 30 years? Is your job compromised by artificial intelligence and robotics? No? Go Google it. Everywhere we hear and read about the idea that it would be great if everyone would get an unconditional basic income, completely without any work or other condition or prerequisite. But will it come to that? Will there be an unconditional basic income in the next 20 to 30 years? What is actually a basic income? The concept of a UBI, an unconditional basic income, is that every inhabitant of a country receives an income without any preconditions. Usually, you hear an amount of 1,000 euros, dollars, or similar amounts in other currencies. Supporters of a UBI, they say that this would have a number of advantages. People would feel safer. The incredibly complicated and expensive system of social benefits will be drastically simplified. The often degrading and humiliating application procedures would get completely unnecessary. Very few would do nothing useful to society at least. The opponents say that millions will then lean back and let the hardworking people finance their livelihoods. And they say it's completely unaffordable because, for example, in Germany, it would cost 3 times the federal budget. And that this is therefore only utopian social romanticism. The idea as such is old. Thomas More wrote in 1516 about a kind of basic income. His book is called Utopia. Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and also Martin Luther King spoke for it, and even Richard Nixon wanted to introduce it, but failed in the Senate. Even the great liberal economic thinkers Friedrich von Hayek and Milton Friedman saw advantages in the idea. Well, what's my perception today? Today, a basic income is nice to have for the most part. Despite presumably big advantages, after decades of discussion, nations and states have so far either done nothing or they have only done little with experiments and have not continued those experiments. So the need is not so great apparently, and the resistance is very great. Obviously, there has not been a real need to do so up to now. There has not been sufficient necessity. Therefore, a universal basic income seems to be only nice to have from the current point of view. But let's have a look at what the future holds for us. Let's put on the blue futures glasses. These are the glasses for our assessment of the probable future. It's not about forecasts, it's not about prediction, but about assumptions about the future, which is a big difference. Below is a link to a video about the 5 futures glasses for the future. So my first assumption is AI and robotics will take over more and more functions and tasks that previously only humans could do. See for that my video, What do the machines still need humans for? Everything that a human can do cognitively, the AI can soon or today do better. Everything that a human can do physically, the robot can soon or today do better. Productivity increases significantly through automation. So we create more value in the same time. We solve much more and better our problems with the same effort and fulfill our wishes more and better. Our quality of life increases. This leads, as so often in our history, to the loss of today's jobs. It's not only workers that are less and less needed. Increasingly, highly qualified people are affected also by the job losses through smart automation. Robots and intelligent systems are taking over really complex tasks, whether it's truck drivers, 3.5 million of them in the USA alone, parcel deliverers, cashiers, vendors, tax consultants, call center employees, and even journalists. They're all threatened by digital automation. In addition to the service and knowledge work sector, artificial intelligence is also conquering the creative industries now. We have algorithms for texting, composing, painting, designing, and they're getting better every day. In the next 20 years, up to 50% of all jobs worldwide will be in question. It is unclear how many jobs will actually be lost due to this automation tsunami, but in the short term, there will probably be more jobs lost than new jobs created. We have to ask ourselves the question, how will we make a living tomorrow when intelligent machines and algorithms do our work? If we do nothing, a few highly qualified people will earn a lot of money, while the rest of us will earn less. And on the other side, what will entrepreneurs and companies, the winners of digitalization, what will they live on in the future if fewer and fewer people can afford their products and solutions? The technological revolution will also create new jobs. This has always been the case. This argument is always mentioned, but as in the past, we can only roughly and in fragments imagine the tasks, professions, and business fields of the future. That is why the argument is so unconvincing and needs a large portion of optimism. These changes will take place at an unprecedented speed. So there will be fewer jobs of the present type in the future, and there will be more people who work in human-oriented tasks. And there will be new tasks and professions that will emerge that are more technology-oriented. Let's think about the surprises with the red glasses, the red futures glasses that are for the unlikely futures. The potential surprise here lies in the fact that the changes, and so the replacement of human tasks and functions, will take place much faster than most of us expect. It will be exponential. The Luddites, the machine breakers at the beginning of the 19th century, they experienced what you consider to be rapid change, right? Faster than they could adapt. But today's speed is not comparable at all. Today's intelligent machines are getting 2 times better every 2 years. The resulting assumption is, it is reasonably probable that the number of new jobs will not automatically and quickly compensate for the number of today's jobs lost. So, with all these assumptions and potential surprises in mind, let's have a preview with the yellow glasses, the glasses for the preferred future. The overall positive vision is anyone who wants to work can find an interesting and sufficiently well-paid and meaningful job either as an employee, a self-employed person, or as an entrepreneur. Everyone has enough money to live on, modestly, even if he or she does not work for money. And this is done with a very simple procedure. If you only want to work part-time, you get a partial basic income. A full-time equivalent is decisive. Those who want to work and earn a lot of money are able to do so. Companies flourish and effortlessly create the incomes from which everything is paid. The social system is as simple as possible and the bureaucracy as small as possible. The state spends a little less than it earns. So, how do we get there? The green futures glasses we use for the opportunities and the options, and there are 3 possible answers. 1, yes, there will be an unconditional basic income. Second, there will be no basic income at all. 3, there will be something else that I'm going to explain in a minute. So, what are the arguments, the supporting arguments for an unconditional basic income? As said, people with low income or those who live on social benefits, they will feel more secure. They will feel less fear of existence. They will feel calmer. People will not seek salvation in dangerously simple right-wing or left-wing radical solutions. People will feel freer. They will not be so dependent on the employers. Low earners will choose the job more freely, somewhat more independently, and will then do this job more self-determined and motivated. The complicated and complex system of social benefits will be drastically simplified. The often degrading application procedures will disappear. Only very few will do nothing at all. The experiments from Canada in the 70s and Finland recently have shown that only 1 or 2% start working at all. People will take on more meaningful tasks, such as caring for children in daycare centers or schools and caring for the elderly, for example, as mobility companions in the city, or providing security services in residential areas or creating works of art. People will dare more to take risks in order to develop themselves, for example, to become self-employed. In Kenya, around 90% founded a company in a basic income experiment. People are becoming more creative and can sometimes get deeper into a project that doesn't have to earn money straight away. This creates a lot of innovation. Okay, what are the counter-arguments? Over 4 or 5 decades, it has simply not been possible to introduce an unconditional basic income anywhere in a serious or permanent way. Some argue that employers could lower normal salaries because the state pays the difference to regular salaries. This may happen, but it can be prevented by a legal minimum wage per day or per hour. And no, it's unlikely that this is going to cost jobs in total. It should be an ethical principle that we have an economy in which one can live relatively well from full-time work, no matter what. Another argument against the UBI is that no one will then be doing the difficult, dirty, unattractive work. For example, in nursing care for the elderly or the police work on the street. But again, this is too short-sighted. Rather would and will such work have to be paid significantly better than today. Otherwise, in fact, there will nobody be there to do that work, or it will be done by intelligent robots. But there is a crucial argument. It is absolutely nonsensical and unnecessary to pay the UBI, unconditional, really to everyone. It is usually demanded that the UBI is paid to everyone independent of income, also to the millionaire, just for the sake of simplicity. That is absurd in several ways. 1,000 euros for each would, for example, in Germany, make about €1 trillion. That is 3 times the federal budget, as I said. A lot of money would be paid to people who neither need an unconditional basic income, nor would they really experience it as significant difference in their lives. It is very easy to find out who would really need and benefit from a UBI, and who would not. And all that without the huge bureaucracies that exist today. Since everyone then knows that there is a basic income, the feeling of security is created in many people even if no UBI is paid to them yet. And there's a second argument that is crucial. I do not see the need to make it unconditional. Freedom and responsibility should always coincide, should always go together. Hence, also rights and duties for society. There is not really a convincing reason for unconditionality that is convincing in the historical, philosophical, or ethical context. Why should we make people pure recipients, now that we're even disparagingly calling them consumers, a terrible word? Of course, it would be ideal if nobody had to worry about anything anymore. But I find that unrealistic. Because then others would have to take care of you. It's no good to impose responsibility for one's own well-being on others. Never. And we must develop our solutions with a global perspective. The focus of the world, both economically and culturally, is gradually shifting to Asia. In the next 20 to 30 years, people there are unlikely to switch to a leisure society. They will continue to develop and compete with us with vision, strategy, and implementation power. The unconditional basic income requires several major reorganizations, all at the same time, some of which have a really revolutionary character. It is better to stay realistic, to take big feasible steps, because they are more realistic and are wiser from a systemic point of view. Otherwise, a basic income will remain a utopian idea. Let's discuss the second option. There will be no basic income at all. Here, I have only one argument, and it's a counter-argument. If our assumptions, my assumptions about the future, are reasonably correct, then if we do not introduce a basic income in whatever form, so that virtually nobody has to live in real poverty, the danger of social distortions is very great. There will perhaps be a bang, as some people say, whatever that means in concrete terms. The probability cannot be neglected that the intelligentization and the robotization of economy will lead to 10, 20, 30 or more % unemployment. And this is too dangerous to do nothing. Do you want to know more about the future? More than your friends and colleagues? And how to be a visionary leader? My next video is already in the making, so click subscribe and hit the bell too.